Hey, everybody. Welcome to the HomeBuddy sponsored webinar of Becoming a Category of One with Nate Lindquist as our guest today. We're going to be going through some very interesting information that he has shared with us over the past few weeks that we wanted to hand off to our clients and the HomeBuddy users out there. So let's go ahead and get started. We want to go through just a few housekeeping items today. We will have a hard stop at 5 o'clock Eastern today. This webinar should only last another 27 minutes, unless, of course, we get into some overflow Q&A. We encourage all of you to participate in the chat. There will be poll questions, specifically those will come up on the fourth slide today. We want everybody to be involved with and engaged with. If you have any questions, please feel free to submit those through the chat as well. And then if you have a technical question or a comment you want us to, we'll see what we can do about answering those today. Some we may not be able to address, but and also to let you know, you don't have to worry about muting your mic. All mics have been muted, so we don't have to hear dogs in the background, or in this case, my children coming in. And then this video will be released most likely later today or this afternoon or tomorrow morning to all of those that have attended. And then we'll most likely send it out to all those who posted to attend but were unable to make it. And at the end of this webinar, we'll have a quick survey for some feedback. And so from there, let's go ahead and get into introductions. I'm Ryan Pedersen. I handle strategic partnerships here at HomeBuddy. I work with large enterprise clients all the way down to consultants, agencies, and tech partners. And so the breadth of what I do is kind of expanded, but I'm very much looking forward to talking with Nate here today. I'm going to go ahead and share some information about Nate and his background. Nate comes from 33 years of experience in business growth and mastery, playing a pivotal role in launching 300 plus businesses in his time. He looks like a young man, but I'll say you're middle-aged, Nate. You're a middle-aged man, but he looks younger than me, which I'm jealous for. He got started at the age of 17 in his garage and has built his business up over time. He's advised industry giants like Cabot Cheese, Velcro USA, has rescued numerous enterprises from bankruptcy, propelling them to both 7- and 8-figure annual revenues. Nate redefines business consulting. He's replacing complexity with results-driven systems, specifically his minimalist CEO method that he developed. He guides businesses away from just quick fixes, but instead to fostering long-term success by creating themselves as a category of one, which Nate will get into today. So let's go ahead and move on to the next slide. All right, Nate,
Awesome.
if you wanted to take it from here, please.
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan. Great introduction. I appreciate it. Actually, I started at 9 with a landscaping company and 16 actually in a service business. So in 1991, it was March 17th. So coming up on 33 years, we fibbed a little bit. It'll be 33 years, March 17th. But first of all, just thanks for having me on HomeBuddy, Ryan. You and the team have been great. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be able to help and provide some guidance and insights and answer questions for this group, for our guests. So we got a great turnout today. And for everyone who stays through this web class, there's going to be a really fun opportunity that we'll make available at the end. So I want to make sure that everyone takes advantage of that if you possibly can, because it's a pretty quick webinar. But during this web class, we're going to show you where the headaches actually are. There's this idea that there's external things that are going on that can keep us in our service businesses from getting where we want to go. And a lot of times there's repetitive stresses. So what I want to talk about today is, what does it mean to be a category of one, and how you don't have to have it as a grind. You don't have to sacrifice family time and work dark to dark. And your days can really be filled up with doing what you love doing. It doesn't mean that you don't work. It doesn't mean that it's not hard. It doesn't even mean that it's not uncomfortable. It just means that you start getting comfortable being uncomfortable. So we'll talk about that a little bit. But first, what I wanted to do, just kind of, break in a little bit, is ask the poll questions. So this is, oh, and look at that. They just pop up. It's like voice activated. That's awesome. So yeah, take a second if you can and just go ahead and answer the questions, if you can, that have popped up on the screen, just so we can get a little bit of a gauge of, from this great group, what you guys are dealing with and what you're thinking about. Ryan, I don't know what you think, but people can see the question, right? So I don't, they can just read it, do the survey question, and then we'll jump right into the material. Is that the best way to do it?
Yeah, absolutely. Tracy will close down this poll here in a second. We'll be able to see the results and then just kind of address those as they come in.
Okay,
Um, Thank you, Kale, for letting us know you're out of Boise. I have family there. All
awesome.
right. Nate, are you able to see these?
Yep, yep,
All right,
yep.
perfect.
I can see the chats. I can see the answers to the poll questions as well. All right. So, okay, we have I'm gonna speak to these poll questions, and I think I can see it. The question number one, what are you avoiding that if handled could really improve your business? And just thinking about the idea that like, it's something strange to keep in mind, but 96% of our reality as business owners is controlled by something automatically every single day, day in and day out, not consciously. Meaning that there's an automatic creature inside all of us that is controlling what is happening in our business. And so, the stats went away, but what do we? Okay, so I don't know if we can see those stats again for a second, or if we've lost it. Is that gone for a second? It'd be cool to see, just to share the stats there for a second. Ryan, what do you think? Can we see them again or no?
Well, I saw that replacing an employee was one that got 50%, and then the third question also received 50% as well. And so
Okay.
I don't know if Tracy can bring those questions back, but
Okay, it's okay. The idea is there's we're going to get into why most of the time we're actively or passively avoiding the biggest headaches and the biggest problems. All right, what would have to be in place? Let's see the stats on this. What would have to be in place for your business to have 4 times the revenue? So we got 17%. I have no idea. We got 17%. Someone else would have to put out fires for me, and 67%, I just need to systematize my business. Awesome. Awesome. It's good to see the perspective of this group. So we're going to hit on some of these kinds of things. It's going to be, I think, very helpful. All right, last one. What differentiates you from your competitors? This is a super, super interesting, simple question. What are your points of differentiation? So is it that we have the highest quality reputation? We have the best prices? Oh, I think we're just copycats. No idea how to win this. I'm very curious to see what the answers are here.
no.
Okay, we got 80%. We have the highest quality and reputation. So something to think about. The other one is 0%. We have the best prices. 20%. I think we're just copycats. No idea how to win this. So highest quality and reputation takes the cake here. The majority, 80% of you on the call think that you have the highest quality and reputation. And here's the trick. Something to think about. First of all, reputation is what other people think of you, and you can only control that so much. The other thing is, how many other businesses who claim to do what you do could say the same thing? How many people, if you went to their website or listened to their salesperson or they're out doing an estimate, could say, we have the highest quality and best reputation? And also something to think about is someone saying that they have the highest quality and the best reputation, does that actually mean that it's true? Maybe when you say it, it is, but what about when someone else says it? Is it always true? So what I love to do is I think something that's super essential, which is what minimalism is all about in business. It's looking at what's essential and getting rid of the rest. What I want to do is give you some tools that give you control of the most powerful parts of your business. This is called category of one, where you become exclusive. You basically eliminate your competition, and you don't have to rely on saying all the things that make you different. You don't have to rely on shouting into the megaphone, running a bunch of ads, convincing other people that you're so exceptional. You actually are. You're actually a category of one, meaning no one else can get what you can provide without going to you. So we're going to hit on some of that stuff while we're here today. And let's just dive in. First of all, there's 3 questions you need to ask. And the first question, looks like we're going to see all 3. The first question is, and let's just focus on that one for a second. Do you trust yourself? I mean, do you honestly trust yourself? Would you bet on you when it comes to creating the results that you want in your business? So if you decide that you want to scale your business, you want to get more customers, you want to get more leads, something that HomeBuddy is awesome at, the ability to be a third party, someone who can drive in and double dip leads and have a brand of their own where they've just, brought together service businesses and allow you as a business owner to advertise so you can go out into the market and really connect with people without having to be your brand every time someone sees it. Super powerful to work with HomeBuddy. Do you trust yourself to get the new business and to grow your business? Would you actually bet on you? And the reason I ask that is because here's what I inherently hear from business owners all the time. When you make a statement as a business owner, and just take this on board, if I ask you, do you trust yourself? And you say yes, well, inside every single statement about what a service business owner wants is a lie or a self-deception. And this isn't a criticism because we all do it. I do it. We have this happen. Inside everything you say is a lie and a self-deception, because when you say, I want to grow my business, I want to add more employees, I want to pick a goal, put down the problem that you say you want to solve, and then notice where you're putting your attention every single day. It's that part of you, that subconscious, that part of you that says, I'm going to focus on dealing with the problems and the struggles in my business. I'm going to focus on solving problems. I'm going to focus on what's going on today. And what happens is we don't dig our feet in, we don't dig our hands into the mud, we don't get into creating what we want because we're so busy dealing with getting, into survival mode or stability mode with what we know, with what's in front of us, with what shows up in our day. And in general, companies between anywhere from startup all the way to, $2 and $3 million a year in a service business generally are focused on dealing with employee problems where the owner has to go clean up a mess or go solve problems, loading the trucks early in the morning, checking inventory, checking estimates, checking on job sites, solving customer problems. And even if there's a customer service team, the idea here is when you state what you want, what you're trying to create, when we get so busy in what's going on, we end up putting out fires, we end up getting very reactive. What happens is we don't actually take new daily habitual actions or take and create a new action plan to focus on consistently to create what we want. And then we also practice thinking about the stuff we're worried about. Earl Nightingale, from Nightingale Conant, he's considered the dean of personal development, but I started listening to this stuff before I turned 7 years old. He said, you become what you think about most. You become what you think about most. Do you trust yourself to think about what you want, to plan what you want, to focus on what you want, and then to take action on it no matter what? The strangest secret, exactly, Steve. Exactly, it's the strangest secret. You become what you think about. So think about this. If you have a puzzle piece, Steve, and you got, actually all the puzzles inside, you got a box, you got all these puzzle pieces in your business that you're trying to plug together. You want to make these get together. I got to get these pieces snapped together. They're funny shapes. How am I going to get the colors to match? And we focus and obsess on the puzzle pieces. How often do you actually look at the cover of the box to see what the picture looks like where your business is actually where you would love it to be? So when I work with businesses and help them scale, I say, listen, if we don't put 80, 90% of our energy on what would have to be in place for our business to be a 5 million, a 10 million, a $20 million company, and we're operating in an 800,000 or 1.2 or 1.5 or $2 million, whatever size you are, we're focusing on the puzzle pieces of the current business model. Most of the time, we will create more of the business model that we're living in right now. All right, so we'll get into that in a little more detail because we only have a short amount of time. Before I jump to the next question, do you have anything that you wanted to ask about or throw in, Ryan? Just because I know that we're trying to,
Yeah. So prior to HomeBuddy, I owned a business. And when I look at this is, do you trust yourself? Would you bet on you? To me, it requires, especially at the beginning, self-discipline. And you have to know your limitations, right? And you have to be able to work up to those limitations, but also trust yourself, but trust others that you may need to hand things off. Delegation, right? Do you trust others that are working for you to delegate those responsibilities to them? So like what Steve is saying here in the chat is raise your gaze from the hood ornament to the horizon. to be the visionary for your business looking forward, and just making sure that you can handle what's on your plate now, but also handle what's to come. Those are just some of my thoughts.
Absolutely. Those are great points, Ryan. And also knowing that, and we're going to get into some of the steps here real quick. We did lose the last slide just for a second. Can we go back to the last slide real quick? Okay. So the second question is, will you be present to change your results? How often can you just stop and have time to think? And here's another great quote from Earl Nightingale. It just keeps coming up for this particular example. But he said, if I asked everyone what they're thinking and they had to answer, then everyone would be speechless. Because most people don't take the time to stop and think and to be present. And the only place we can create change in our business is to be present, to be still, to look at what's actually going on, but also look at what we love to have going on and put those kinds of pieces in place. All right. And then the last question is, are you prepared? My audio is doing somewhere. There it is. Are you prepared to let your thinking make a total 180? So let these things sink in, and let's jump to the next slide.
Sounds like we're talking paradigm shift. Is that what we're talking about there?
Absolutely.
Little Coveyism? Okay.
A little bit of it, a little bit of that. What do we know to be true? What would we love to be true? And I call that crossing the chasm. So it's a willingness to trade something for new results, to sit in the fire. And you can see, if I were to note this right here, a willingness to trade something for new results. Part of this is trading our focus for new results. So the commitment to say, you know what, I'm going to create consistent time to get a clear vision and be a creative circumstances instead of being created by circumstances. And also that means to understand what I call the 5 business machines of a category of 1. So without getting into too much detail, every business is made up of 5 business machines. But to be a category of 1, first of all, you already are one. Every service business is a category of 1. So anything that you're trying to build to really create the kind of momentum that you want, it requires that you understand what you're here to do as the business owner. And it's like, well, I'm an electrician. I'm an HVAC company. I've got to get the systems in place. There's a lot of things we do when we start a business. But when you recognize that you're a category of 1, you shift gears mentally and say, what if only about 0.5% to 1% of what I do every single day is my gift? It's what I was put on this earth to do. I wake up, I'm alive, I love it, I'm engaged with it. I don't have to solve everything. I don't have to be the problem solver. So imagine just deciding, I'm going to get so clear about the picture on the cover of the puzzle. Line of sight, path of travel. It's called lost spot. You can see that over here. Line of sight, path of travel. The idea, this model here is called the category of 1 or impossible unlocked model. Line of sight, path of travel is simple. Most service businesses obsess with not hitting the wall. If you think about NASCAR or learning to drive a race car, they're constantly learning how to not hit the wall. Not hit the wall, not hit the wall, not hit the wall. So what do they focus on? They focus on the wall. And what you focus on is where you go. So you start hitting the wall. When you're a category of 1, you get over the chasm, you have what's called SOI, speed of implementation. And then you take over here, let me get I'm learning to use this little tool here. You take your actions. So these are my actions. When you're category 1, you have speed of implementation and you take your own actions. You have a series of rituals where you consciously decide, how do you think about, how do you imagine, how do you prepare, how do you get uncomfortable, willingly and consistently get uncomfortable in the place that forces you, not just your business, but forces you to grow as the leader in the category of work that is your juice. So everyone has that. For me, visionary, I see systems and simplify them, and I've really learned how to present and how to grow businesses. So I know around me, I have really good project managers, I have really good organized people. And I like to say, if you have your rituals in place, they're creating your reality. I have rituals for what I call my 5 forces rituals: mind, body, spirit, relationships, and business. And I say, okay, I'm going to get so good at the rituals that improve those a little bit every single day. I'm going to give each of those things a little bit of time, 5 to 10 minutes, every single day. And what I say is, if you could have 1 hour of focused improvement in your mind in your body, in your spirit, in your relationships, in your business every week. And then on the weekend, you can choose which one of those you want to apply your hour to: magic moments, adventure, family time, whatever. That's 1 hour of improvement every single day. You want to grow a service business to $10 million? We have one right now. Over 4 months, we just hit $16 million in an HVAC company. How do we do that? How do we get to that point? Now, I'll say this. We hit it up here. We're organizing the details down here, if that makes sense. But we said, what would have to be in place? What would be the impact? What would be the difference? What would be the results that as the leader of the company, we would have to create so that this business is at $16 million? And here's what's great. The organizing pieces come from, not from us, not from knowing all the steps, not from having all the answers, but having what we call selective ignorance. I call that ROI, return on ignorance. Actually knowing that once my actions, my rituals that get my best juice, again, everyone has it, maybe you're great at project management, maybe you're great at sales, maybe you're great at technical work, whatever it is, but you decide what your juice is, and then everything else that isn't your juice as the leader of the business, your best gifts, what you were put on this earth to do, this goes over here to other people's actions. And this is where you can actually recruit, bring together anyone you could ever imagine working with who's phenomenal at their 0.5% to 1%, and you will be blown away. People will not just be hired for money, they'll be hired for your vision. They'll be hired for the chance to do what they love. They're awesome at being results creators. You bring these two things together and a service business will explode with growth. Absolutely explode with growth. And what's awesome about it, all you have to do is trust yourself to take the action and then put the systems in place that will take the action that you can get the results with. So you work with people who have already gotten those results. You work with mentors who know how to execute on things that aren't your thing to figure out. Ideal, by the way, is a little magic system when you're working with other people's actions. You identify what you're doing every day. You jump right to the E. You eliminate anything that you shouldn't be doing. Then you delegate and you automate everything else. And looking at each of the 5 parts of the business, you've got client acquisition, conversion, which is sales, delivery, finance, and legal. You get those things as well-oiled machines. And then you have other people's actions. And there is no limit. First of all, you don't have to say, how can we figure out how to get leads? Someone already mastered that. You plug in that. You don't have to figure that out. And it's not a big, fancy expert marketing team. It's someone who has the teeth, has the juice, and you put in superstars only where they have skin in the game and they get the results. You don't ever have to wonder whether they're going to get those results, period. So that is the very, very fast version of the category of one. In general, what it just means, and there's tons of strategies underneath this. I showed this picture because we could dig into this really deep, but the simple version is when you trust yourself to do what you say you're going to do, you trust yourself to have your category of one action, your rituals, and your project. That's all you work on. Then you get your 5 forces in order and how you're going to show up in other people's actions, grow the rest of it. And as long as you systematize it in a way that's simplified and you let great people do great work, they will. I've had CEOs join my teams who are, these are guys who make $200, $300 million launches, who've come in just because they love the idea, because they love the passion for the idea. They love the direction that we're going. So if you're goofing around worrying about ads, here's the thing. Get a category expert like HomeBuddy. Get the numbers that you understand and find someone to manage that to a fine point. Let go of that and go be great at what your juice is and make sure you understand what your ideal business experience is and what your outcomes are. And then get uncomfortable every day. I challenge every one of you, download a list of people who you believe you could really help. And even as the owner, go call 10 of them and find out what you wish, see what you're feeling and find out what you wish you had in place that would help you make that call more effective. Because the more uncomfortable you are, the more ideas you're going to have about how you could be more helpful. And when you call someone for their reasons, for wanting you to call them, you never, ever, ever have to worry about growing a business again. When you put something that like really yummy food, where people are hungry for that food, they're going to buy it. They're going to eat it. They're going to want it. They're going to tell other people there's food over here. So instead of yelling into a megaphone, hey, this is what I have, this is what makes me great, get outside that copycat and move into category of one. It's amazing the results that people are creating. And it really comes down to, I work with business owners who are like, you know what? I'm not exactly sure how to execute on this, but I'm willing, I trust myself, I bet on myself. Show me, I mean, I can tell you there's 5 or 6 strategies I could show you that you've never heard of, where as soon as you implement it, for instance, there's something called the 3% rule. Only 3% of your very best buyers are in the market to buy what you have at any given time. Only that means if you're out talking to your marketplace and you don't know the 3% rule, someone's not interested. Say you sell windows. We just did a camp. Oh, carpets. Okay, carpets. If you're selling carpet, okay, and people's distinction says, I don't need a carpet cleaner, I'm not in the market. It's because the way of their buying criteria is my carpet doesn't look dirty. So when you help them understand that your carpet is actually a filter, is loaded with toxins, is loaded with germs, is loaded with feces, every 3 yards is toxic, and you tell them the 5 dangers to kids and families with toxins in carpets. Here's how we can solve that for you, or make sure someone solves this for you. Here's how to do it. It doesn't matter if you're in the market for carpet cleaning, you're in the market for a healthy family, and you're going to listen to what that carpet cleaning company has to say. All the carpet cleaners are no longer relevant. There's this one person who's doing something that's exceptionally caring and helpful for people to stay healthy. That's called the 3% rule, because people will get, all of a sudden they're interested. They're interested because you did something for their reason to want your help, rather than just your reason to sell something that you already have.
I like
So
that.
that's the
That's great,
high-speed
Nate.
version, Ryan.
Yeah. Hey, before we get to the CTAs here, if you would, go ahead and get rid of those annotations. I think they're still on the screen.
Oh yeah,
When
I'm new to that. I'm new to that. Here we go. All
Yeah,
right. Okay.
yeah, Tracy will move on to the call to action here at the end. But I wanted to ask you, when you discuss juice, when you say juice, are we talking about somebody with both capacity and the passion to excel? When you say juice, can you explain that to me?
It's the crossroads of, first of all, waking up excited for what you do. It's the crossroads of curiosity and capability. It's this place where you're like, I feel alive. Time falls away. You know, Patanjali, a 6th century mystic, said, when your thoughts break their bonds and you become a person far greater than you ever imagined yourself to be. When a service business owner is not in that place and they get in that place, this is where I see people going from $500,000 or $1 million who we're working with to 15, $20 million a year. And it's different for everyone, but it's like, I thought I had to do everything. I thought I had to solve every problem. It's like, no, you're 0.5% of the 100% of the things you're doing. Do that, own that, crush that, go a mile deep and a millimeter wide instead of a mile wide and a millimeter deep, and recruit people who what they're doing is their juice. And the juice is the crossroads of capability, curiosity, where it's like, I get to do this. And it doesn't mean it's gonna be easy. Discomfort is the enemy. I mean, I should say comfort is the enemy of growth.
Mhm.
You've got to have selective and consistent discomfort. But so that starts with, okay, right now I can give anyone on this call a list of 50 or 60 strategic alliances who would send them business every month. I could send them
Mhm.
a list of strategic, much like HomeBuddy could be like, hey, here's a webinar. There's some people who you might be able to help. And will you call them? Do you know their reasons for wanting you to call? Can you start helping, see if it's helpful, and make it more helpful? Or are you just going to have the label of the service that you're in? Because the label of a service negates uniqueness. You can't differentiate when you're shouting the same thing, like we have the best quality, best reputation, best anything, because nobody buys it anymore. It
Mhm.
doesn't make people interested. If you got 15 pairs of shoes in the closet, then you know what? Running shoes, and these are the ones you always bought and you always wear and just bought enough. And someone tries to sell you running shoes, you're not in the market. You're not going to listen. But
Yeah.
if someone says, even if you have a closet full of shoes and you got hip problems and other challenges, um, and you really love these shoes, let me show you about the dangers between the ages of 2 and 18 if you don't learn this really critical information. Even if you already have a bunch of the shoes you love and you love the way they look and feel, there's something that's dangerous for you and your family. People respond to helpful information that helps them understand a way to avoid pain. And everyone's in business to solve a problem, not
Mhm.
just to have a label. Oh, I do windows and doors. Like, you don't. No, you don't. You don't just do windows and doors. Someone's looking to make their dream view come true. Someone's looking for carpet hygiene and safety, respiratory health. Someone's looking for, they don't want to buy awnings, they're looking for shade. They want shade, you know? And so, anyways, I don't know if that
No, it's
answers.
good stuff. Thank you, Nate. I
Yeah, you
appreciate it.
bet.
You really got a lot of thoughts, and I would encourage anybody that's on this call that's listening to Nate expound on this stuff to, if you want to learn more about Minimalist CEO, you can see the call to action here at the bottom of the screen. Text home 24 at the phone number there provided. Looks like you can. It's simple: 77236-236-77. And also, if you're interested in generating leads for your home service, your home contracting business, you can reach out to homebuddy.com/contractor page. Just submit your information. It'll go to us. It looks like Tracy has a final interest poll that she's put up there. And this is if you're interested in learning more about Minimalist CEO or HomeBuddy or both. Please go ahead and submit that. And then as that poll is getting finalized there, I'd like to go to Q&A. If there are any questions from any of the attendees, if you want to learn anything more, I know that we're about 3 minutes over, but I just want to make sure that we address any questions that may come. So we can take, about 30 seconds to see if we got anybody typing.
Yeah, and
Anything else, Nate, as we're kind of
yeah.
wrapping this up?
Yeah, I'm wide open to, I think sometimes in a short amount of time, like a half an hour, it's difficult to know. What I like to do is be able to interact and find out what are people dealing with? What are the challenges they have? Because I'm more than happy to help someone understand, like, I've got this thing that's going on in my business. How am I going to get past it? How am I going to get through it? How am I going to grow? And inevitably, it's 99.9% of the time, it's about removing something that's in the way, to removing the clutter, removing the excess, removing wasted marketing dollars, removing the frustrations. And it's not about adding. So if someone wants to have that conversation, I'm more than happy to be helpful in that regard. If you want to jump onto my workshop, you're going to find that I do have a workshop that I make available at that link. It's normally a $200 workshop. We're giving it away to everyone here on the call, so it's going to be free for you. And I'll answer your questions live. You'll actually be able to come on a lot like you see me and Ryan right now, and I'll actually answer questions. And we can share case studies. We can talk about how an electrical contractor who came to me said, his challenge was he didn't want to pull cable anymore and he was stressed. Now he's got an ice dam prevention and monitoring system, and he just passed $3 million in business. And he did that over the period of a year and a half. So it's like he got into his passion, but he also got to work, got uncomfortable, and did some things that most people in a service business, while they're busy and trying to run their company, will never do.
Well, thanks, Nate. Doesn't look like we had any questions this time, but hopefully we get some people that reach out to you and your organization and they fire some questions again right down here at the bottom. Information on how to get a hold of Minimalist CEO. Nate, really wanted to thank you for your time today, for your insight, for what you've provided. It's been a pleasure working with you over these past few weeks as we prepared for this. And we'll be in contact, and I wish you the best and a great week. And thank you for everybody for attending today as well.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Ryan. I appreciate the opportunity, and I hope this was helpful to everybody. I look forward to hearing if we can be of help and be glad to do that.
That's excellent. All right, everybody have a great day.